payments of pending bills, approved pending bills, or the so-called eligible pending bills. And I believe the 300 and something billion you are talking about is on pending bills. Chacha, you are telling us that some county governments have not paid development. There are challenges that these county governments are experiencing. One is on the exchequer releases. Two, the procurement process. The procurement process starts when the budget estimates have been taken to the control of budget. The budget has been approved and taken by county assembly and taken to the control of budget. From that point is when the procurement process will start. That will somewhere in August or September. So you will not expect county governments to pay anything in the first quarter. Not unless they are paying what? They are paying pending bills. So payment for this financial year will start somewhere this December or from January. So let's not prosecute the governors, and especially Dr. Manduku here is trying to prosecute the governor, my deputy party leader.
It's interesting you've brought up that those who spent the money for development, then it was meant for pending bills in development. Yeah. How comes then Kisii, I'm so sure they have pending bills, how comes they did not use any money towards that? And it should be the first charge.
Yeah, the first charge. It's the first charge.
So what became...
In fact, second charge after personal emoluments.
So what became...
My vice party leader does not live in Kisii. So we live in Kisii, and we are not being malicious here. The starting point of any development correctly is about budget, about the procurement plan, about public participation. Then, if you want to do the development, at least come and tell the people what you intend to do. I can tell you that in Kisii, no one knows what the governor or the government wants to do.
Just start from there. What was allocated to development in Kisii County?
What was allocated to development?
Is it a minimum of 30% as in
it is way below. It is way below.
Financial management.
It is way below. And that is the question, really, because the Public Financial Management Act stipulates a minimum of 35% in development.
30%. Honorable Rico is the vice chair of the ODM party, seems to be defending.
He's bringing party matters here. I'm not an official in the party.
I know to Ruth, in terms of counties you stated earlier on, for them to realize even the on-source revenue, there needs to be economic activities in the counties. And if development expenditure is not released, or the budget is not released to the suppliers or various contractors, then liquidity in their various counties becomes a challenge. So for counties that have spent zero on development, be it for pending bills, which is okay actually to settle them, is it the reason we'll realize even on-source revenue shortages? Because there is no liquidity in the market. The government, the county governments are not injecting or pumping anything towards realizing development.
Exactly. It's very much correlated. And I'll tell you one thing, Chacha. I remember when we did the first review of the county government report, I think in the end, was it in end of March or early April? There were counties, actually around 10, that had not, for a whole financial year, they had not paid pending bills. Yeah, meaning those people, whether they're in development, even you cannot be able to take some work, you know very well you're not going to be paid, because experience also is teaching the people who have been working for those counties. And if those counties have not allocated anything even in their budget for pending bills, then there's a problem. Then there's also something else with counties, and that is why you can see this counties report. And actually, if you look at that county report, you see the metrics are 70% of their expenditures is in operations, and largely when it comes to salaries and allowances, which is largely to the main shareholders or to the main people. And then we can see 7%, only 7% is going to developmental. You know, it's like putting a cart before the horse. That thing will not move Yeah, the reason we are having the kind of gridlock we are having in counties is because the cart has been put before the horse, and there is no way that the cart is going to push the horse. So, and maybe, and that is why we are seeing with a lot of, but the problem is actually putting the cart before the horse is not the problem. The problem is not willing to change that. It's willing to have the status quo, and that is why you can be able to see the kind of thing that is happening. And you see, Chacha, it's not going to be reflected now. Maybe some of these things are not going to, because economically things are not translated in 1 year or 2. But in the next bunch of 5-10 years, the ripple effect of what the counties have not done is going to be seen everywhere. We come to Nairobi, for example, and we say, just recently, is it last week or early this week, it rained heavily, and cars could not move out of this town because it was like a pool of a lake, you know. When we have such small problems that can be sorted but have never been sorted, you know, these are the kind of things. Yet we are still having rural-urban migration. We are still having things that can be done but yet cannot be done. I'll go to agriculture because most counties do agriculture. And that has not been, no one has focused a lot in terms of how they can be able to help their people have value chain. I think I'm going to quote a picture that came to the social media a few months ago, where a milk vendor was taking milk somewhere, and the road was so bad and slippery, and they fell and the whole milk poured in there. Oh, and then we saw a private developer coming to make that road. Like, who really does that? You know, if people of a specific place are not supported, where does that county government expect to earn its money? Mm-hmm. And these are the issues that, but also there is a problem of competence, because then we normally say then the people who are supposed to, I can see here we are seated with doctors, but not many counties are privileged to have doctors heading them, because that only also is a big problem. Remember in Nairobi, relevance. Yes, relevance. Remember in Nairobi, there was a whole issue where minimum qualifications, we didn't know whether they were right or wrong, or they were, you know, all those things that come to ensure that we have competent leaders leading counties. Let's
now get to the elephant in the room as far as county government's budget implementation review report is concerned in the first quarter of 2024-2025. Now, the outstanding pending bills as of 30th of September 2024 in counties is a whopping 168 billion Kenya shillings. In this case, Nairobi County carries the lion's share of 121 billion Kenya shillings. Now, out of 121.78 billion pending bills that Nairobi has, in the first 3 months of this fiscal year, it only spent 206 million to pay suppliers of goods and services who actually had their monies pending with the county. And in this case, just getting to Honorable Dr. Manduk, I'm trying to bring this down to, you know, case studies. For instance, in Kisii County, the county reported 2.31 billion Kenya shillings pending bills as of 30th of June 2024, comprising, of course, of the county executive and the county assembly. Surprisingly, the county executive and county assembly did not settle any pending bills during the reporting period. What are we doing to the suppliers in those counties? Are we killing them with the little that they had? Especially, of course, some of them borrowed these monies from banks, and now they have been auctioned, the business people.
The control of budget has consistently reported and followed the law that pending bills ought to be settled first. In fact, they ought to be a first charge. In the case of Kisii County, I know that there was a verification process that took place to try and segregate the eligible versus the illegible pending bills. But I also know that there's a court ruling or a court advisory that says any audit process can only be undertaken by the Auditor General. And so, purporting to have a committee verifying bills, whether eligible or ineligible, is actually illegal, ab initio. If I was governor, I would settle all those pending bills tomorrow. And thereafter, if I have any issues, escalate them to the relevant bodies which can competently and legally investigate. Why am I saying this? Today, I know about 2 or 3 banks that are about to close their branches in Kisii on account of lack of circulation of money. The county governments were supposed to devolve funds to the grassroots. And these funds are supposed to be used on a day-to-day basis by the local people so that we can have economic activity, so that they can generate serious businesses and thereafter generate more revenue for the counties. It is a question of the egg and chicken story. So when you come and just give a blanket statement that you cannot pay any pending bills, that is illegal. And no matter what you do, those pending bills will ultimately be settled. But coming to your question, what is it doing to businesses? Of course it is hurting businesses. Most of these people went to banks, borrowed, and undertook projects. Whether it was during your regime or the previous regime, you must know that government, by virtue of its creation, is continuum. You cannot say that there's a new government. Even William Ruto today is paying bills that were incurred by Uhuru Kenyatta.
And those are loans.
I sit in the public debt committee and I see those loans and we have questions about them. But the law does not allow William Ruto to say that I cannot pay this. And so I'm asking our governors, do the right thing. Settle pending bills. That will create economic activity. It will generate some impetus in the local economies. A county like Kisii today, if you put in 2 billion shillings into Kisii, then you start seeing developments, you start seeing industry, you grow businesses. Ultimately, you even collect more revenue.
Dr. Rico, for your county, that is Turkana County where you come from, pending bills as of 30th of June 2024 amounted to 4.79 billion Kenyan shillings. As of 30th of September 2024, there were 446, or rather 4.46 billion Kenyan shillings. In other words, the county has so far spent 330 million Kenyan shillings to settle the pending bills. But we are talking about Turkana County, where, as you said, there are no much economic activities there. So for few business people who managed to raise now 4.46 billion Kenyan shillings to supply to the government in terms of goods and services, is it unfortunate that we can only set a paltry 330 million to settle pending bills amounting to over 4.7 billion? And actually, what will be the impact of these pending bills being settled? Senate recommended this should be the first charge. Are we really working towards settling these pending bills?
First charge from where? The 4.6 billion for pending bills in Turkana County government is nowhere in the budget. It's nowhere in the budget.
So they have not budgeted to settle the pending bills?
Probably I've only budgeted probably 10% or 1 billion. If you look at their budget, just look at their budget, you not see the 4.6 billion. Where will county government of Turkana get the 4.6 billion that the Auditor General is saying to be prioritized? Yesterday, I heard from one of the contractor or suppliers saying that the county government has given directive that they can only pay 30% of your invoice. If you're supposed to be paid 5 million, so you have to enter into an agreement or agreement with the county government for only 30%.
What happens to the 70%?
I don't know.
Considered lost?
I don't know which kind of principles they are using to clear the suppliers or contractors. So there is a problem. So there is need to prioritize some of the pending bills so that probably in the future they can budget the whole pending bill. Or let them forego the current projects so that they can clear all the pending bills. If the budget for development for Turkana County government is 5 billion, let them prioritize first. Let them clear the pending bills.
Well,
and in fact, as I told you earlier, Governor Nok left 5.4 billion, and only 2 billion has been paid so far. So the 3 billion or 3.4 billion can pay that debt of 4.6 billion for pending bills.
Ruth, we are beginning to end up. And something Dr. Ariko has stated here is that counties are not budgeting for pending bills. Similar to the national government, with a 4 trillion budget that we have, over 750 billion Kenya shillings owed to suppliers, were not also budgeted for. How are we going to settle these pending bills at the end of the day, much as the Senate recommended that pending bills should be considered fast charge, similar to what the control of budget is stating here?
One thing I can tell you, Chacha, whether national government or county government, if they would really want to settle the pending bills, they can really do that. Because what has been done legibly can be seen, and what has been done contrarily can be seen. So it's not even a matter of audit. If the Auditor General has come and pointed a few issues, clearly we can be able to differentiate between those people who supplied. And actually, one of the things that is eroding trust between the Kenyans, between the governments, whether counties or national, with its people, is the fact that we cannot do business together. The fact that I cannot do business with you, and if I do business with you as a government, you're going to rob me. Because pending bill, actually, if somebody has not been paid for the last 10 years, that is just somebody, actually governments, robbing its people. County government are notorious because the people in their counties are not big business people. These are MSMEs who are trying to thrive. But what normally, actually the county governments normally give back to them is the whole issue of not paying them, robbing them, and failed promises, you know. And this is one of the things that is eroding trust. Chacha, in the previous report of Auditor General about counties, we saw like almost around 10 counties which had not paid even a shilling. Yeah, but you see, the problem is they cannot be asked. There is no accountability. There is nobody to call out to these counties and tell. It's like governors are working within their own how they feel, how they wake up and feel. Like there is no accountability. The issue of accounting also has been mentioned. If the proper accounting measurements cannot be followed, if the the Auditor General is pointing these issues, but year after year they are not being addressed. What I can say, the people of this country are being taken for, right?
Thank you. Dr. Manduko, I'm coming to you, even as well.
Request to you.
Yes, I'm coming to you.
To read Article 95, because the governors are claiming that we are overstepping our mandate.
As MPs.
Can you read to governors Article 95? When we are discussing county government, we are not just overstepping anybody's mandate.
Manduko, even as we wind up, your part in short, our inflation rate edged up to 2.8% from the initial 2.7% in October 2024. However, much as the inflation is down and President William Ruto takes credit for it, there is no, or Kenyans are still not feeling the impact in their pockets. How can this be addressed?
I am not an economist, but I can tell you something, which sometimes I think most people may not understand. If you look at your last 10 transactions, financial transactions, you realize that 80% of them are out of the system. In fact, when I was doing my MBA 15 years ago, my professor taught me that Kenya is not a perfect market. What am I saying? 80% of the transactions we do in this country are not captured in the system, either by the central bank or by the banks. When I came in the morning, I gave somebody 1,000 shillings. I took an Uber. It's not accounted. It's not accounted. And so when you talk of inflation coming down, it is what has been captured. Inflation may come down theoretically or very academically, as it is the case today. But the common man is still feeling the pinch. Why? Because we are not a perfect market. Our fundamentals are not right. The economists will tell you. We still have high cost of living. We still have challenges with our education system where we must pay. We still have challenge with our health system where we must pay cash. And so when the fundamentals are not right,
thank you,
no amount of statistics from the central bank will make us comfortable, because the average person in Nyarivari Masaba today is still struggling with the basics on account of high taxation, no subsidies where they are required, high cost of fuel, high interest rates, and so on and so on.
Thank you. Honorable Rico, in 30 seconds or less, even as we wind up, the Finance Committee, its reports have now said through that's the Tax Procedure Amendment Bill of 2024 and Tax Laws Amendment Bill of 2024. What does it mean to Kenyans? In 30 seconds, even as one appeal. Does this mean more taxes?
Chacha, I think you are giving me that time is not enough to explain what.
We'll come back, of course, on this
Yeah.
some other day.
So, what I'm informed is that there's a condition that has been given to the government of Kenya for it to secure some money from these external donors. And that condition is to raise 178 billion. So we are trying to revise to make administratively, we want to see KRA working up and down to collect taxes.
So this is for the sake of a loan?
Yes, that's one of the conditions.
So it,
because we want to raise some money from outside for infrastructure projects.
Well, thank you so much. Honorable Rico, I'll be inviting you some other day to shed more light on what this means as soon as actually President William Ruto ascends to law the two bills. At this juncture, well, time is not on our side, but it has been a conversation on the 2024 economic performance. My guests in studio have been Dr. Daniel Manduku, member of the Debt and Privatization Committee of the National Assembly, Honorable Dr. John Ariko, a member of the Finance and National Planning Committee of the National Assembly, and as well Ruth Kinyanjui, an economist. My name is Joel Chacha. Do enjoy the rest of your day.